Good day, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on Bill of Materials Management in Windchill system. I am quickly just sharing the agenda for today. I will do a quick introduction of myself and PDSVISION, and then we'll go through the concept of digital thread in product development. We'll go over the topic overview for today. And right at the end, we will then handle the question and answers session. So if you have a question at any point during the webinar session, please go ahead and type that out in the question section. My name is Ephraim Puyeng. I am a PLM specialist at PDSVISION with over 8 years experience on PDC products, specifically Windchill products and their modules. I'm a certified Windchill trainer. And a bit about the company. We are PDSVISION, acquired in 2018 from being Boundary Systems. We are now trading as PDSVISION. The company, as a company, we regard ourselves as the technology leader, being the first PDC global reseller and a preferred service provider. We offer a list of capabilities in consulting, implementation services. So this is Windchill setup from scratch, upgrade, system optimization, all sort of things that goes into the Windchill services. We also offer professional trainings in all the softwares that we sell and serve to our customers. We also have a cloud environment for smaller companies in particular, where they do not want to include the server management as part of the IT work, or they don't want to burden IT with the management and the maintenance of the Windchill services. We do have cloud offerings for that. We also offer the help desk support for Windchill and Creo tools. And as PDSVISION, if you look at the map on the right, that is where all the PDSVISION entities are actually located. PDC being our main partner, a strategic partner in the solutions company, we also partner with other companies as well, or solutions companies as well, to make sure that we provide our customers a comprehensive solution that essentially meets their needs. Right, just on the topic of digital thread, so we define it as the use of digital tools and the representations for design, evaluation, and lifecycle management of the product. It essentially should create a traceability and governance of your product data across the entire enterprise. So simply means any entity department that touches on the product development of this particular product, they will need to have full access to the data that was used in designing and also manufacturing the product itself. For this particular topic for today, we'll cover on those three circles of the product development. So the way we think digital thread has been designed around was the inner circle is where you'd normally start, where the company simply manages the CAD data, some technical information, documents, requirements management in the system. And then as the product sort of matures, you then extend out to the second reign in the process, where you start doing things like change management. You include project management, where you also, in essence, share data with your external contributors, give them access to your system, but in a different sort of environment where they can only see the data that they're working on. They cannot see the entire product data itself. You also do the BOM management. And then as that matures, you can move out to the outer cycle, where you're now linking the supplier management information as well. So if someone from supply chain or procurement is looking at a specific part, they can immediately see who are the preferred supplier that we use, who are the suppliers that are sort of marked as do not use supplier. We need to stay away from those, and who are obviously the preferred. And then the other thing you also sort of do at that phase is to also manage manufacturing processes. So create a bill of materials specific to manufacturing. And from that bill of material, you can easily build out the process plans on how the product will be manufactured. You can also use the same bill of materials to have a process plan that shows exactly how the product would be put together or assembled, and eventually creating a work instruction from that process plan. Then eventually you move out to the outer ring on here, which is basically embedding sensors on the actual product and using those sensors to also collect the data while your product is out in the field. And that sort of information helps you when you're building the next phase or the next version of that product, because you sort of understand how the product behaves on the outer world. And again, not only that information, but you can also see if the customer is actually using the product for what it's intended for. That sort of information can be fed back using IoT. And yeah, the whole idea of the digital thread is to make sure that you have that link from where, when you start planning to build the data, the requirements management side of it, the specification, then you go to as design, where you start designing, detailing your design, and then from that information as design, which is your BOM information, you can then build the manufacturing or the as-built view of the product, and then eventually information about how the product is maintained while it's out in the field, the user manuals. That sort of information could be used from the upstream data, and basically when something changes downstream, it flags the upstream as well. Or when it changes upstream, it flags the downstream that there's a change on the BOM that could be propagated into the BOM. Right, back to the topic of the day: bill of materials management in Windchill system. So we basically say BOM management is capturing, configuring, and managing all product data that is generated or created or developed in the product lifecycle. So anything that you create, any documentation, any drawing, any file, any change that goes with the whole product, being able to capture that and store that, that is basically BOM management, because you can easily go back and look at how the product looked when a certain version of the product was created. You can set filters to pull certain configuration that you used in a specific version of the product. The system allows you to do that, to capture or any information that relates to this product. And again, I mean, this is something that you can simply do out of the box once you implement the system, but you can also sort of augment those functions by adding your own functions, customizing the system to follow your business processes in essence. So as I said, the information that will be captured there it will mainly be the CAD information, electrical schematics, electrical components, and mechanical parts in it, things like specification document, things like your requirements document, specification document on how to paint a final product, even information about how to put together this final product, and can be captured using this. And the also important bit is the change management. There is no way that the product will never go through a change process. in its phase, especially if it's a new product. It definitely goes through a lot of those changes. Having those changes in the same system allows you to easily trace why the change was made, and also allowing anyone who's got access to the system to be able to see and access this information. And the other one, which I find to be very powerful, is this improved components and supply management that I talked about earlier, where you can assign a part to a specific approved manufacturer that we use. And you can also blacklist certain manufacturers because maybe they're very slow at delivering, or we had issues in terms of material that they use. We can blacklist those so that downstream purchasing and procurement, supply chain, when they extract this information out, they know exactly who to use as your suppliers. And the other big one is obviously the BOM transformation. I also spoke about this, where you have an e-BOM that is around how the product was actually designed. But how you go in and manufacture this product might be a different BOM. You might need to reorganize, change your BOM to meet the process of how you actually manufacture that particular product. And throughout that process of e-BOM and m-BOM, you can also start introducing your ERP. You can either say, okay, once this is released, we take this data out, push it to an Excel file, and then we take the Excel, import it into the ERP. Or the system could be set to integrate with your ERP system, and as soon as the data is released, either by setting state to release, or by completing a promotion process to release, or by completing an ECN, it then automatically triggers the push of data to the ERP system. Right, so in Windchill, there's a couple of business objects that they use to sort of manage this information. And I mean, this basically maintains or captures a lot of types of information here. So CAD information, like the SolidWorks information, your CATIA, Creo parametric information, inventor information can be captured in the system here, and also non-CAD object. So if you think about any object that you have and you want to store in the system, you can. You've got an exe file that is a software used on a certain component in your product. That exe, there's a way to actually store it in the system and link it to your product. Some of those things I'll show you in the system here. And also there's companies that they do not have physical CAD information, but they get BOM information that they need to manage. So Windchill allows you to manage that bill of material without having CAD. You could have just a BOM plus the drawings that are linked to that BOM, the PF drawings that are linked to that BOM. There is a way to capture that in the Windchill system. And again, obviously, companies have their own business processes. The system allows you to extend what you already have out of the box to build a specific configuration that meets your business processes. So on the right here, it's just the pictures of icons that you might have seen already in Windchill, and this is how Windchill stores the information. So you've got the first one that we call parts and end parts. This is what we'll be focusing on for today's topic. So think of this as a container that stores related information to a specific part. It's a container that will link all the related items in just this one container. And then the first icon, the gear icon here, it's just for a normal part, like a nut and a bolt, or just any component. And then the one with a diamond-shaped icon next to it, it simply means this is an end item, or a final product that we sell, or an end item that is sellable. So things like an engine, which is a complete thing that you can sell, you can mark that as an end item. In our case, we'll be working or we'll be demoing with a motorbike. So a complete motorbike product would be an end item. as well. And then the CAD documents, these are just the icons to capture different CAD tools information. So some here are for your normal parametric assemblies and parts, the drawings, SolidWorks, inventors, inventor criteria, they would have different icons for that CAD. And this particular CAD object type or business type physically stores a CAD file or CAD information. I won't talk much about dynamic documents, but dynamic documents are normally used when you're creating services. So you're creating service information of this part, you're creating your illustrations, the user manuals, the training manuals, service manuals. You would use a tool that we have PDC called AboText to actually manage and create that sort of data. And document, you don't have a limit in terms of what you can store inside a document type. So in EXE, you'll capture it in this document type, a PDF, a normal Microsoft Word, a TXT file, any sort of file we can capture in this document type. And then you also have a link. A link would just capture a URL link, either an internal or an external web URL link. Will be captured inside of the links type. Right, so just to run through different sort of bill of materials here is in most cases the customer will capture the bill of materials in the actual CAD. It will be in the drawing file. If there's any information they need to communicate to the guys on the manufacturing floor, it will be added on a drawing file as a note. So things like replacement components. So if I don't have this component, which component can be used as a replacement component? That sort of information, they will normally capture it in the drawing itself, and it doesn't give you much flexibility because you also need to make sure the drawing is visible and readable to someone on the shop floor. While making sure also that you don't miss on that important information. Then the next, or the way Windchill sort of captures this is, I can create a bill of materials called an BOM, right? So this is basically what reflects the product as is designed by the engineering team. So this is normally referred to as designed bill of material. And normally, this sort of bill of material is driven from CAD. So when you check in your CAD, it will automatically generate the same structure bill of material for you. That way, we call it that process CAD-centric. You start from CAD and then you do the part. It does the part for you automatically. But in other companies, that starts everything from the configuration team. They will normally do it the other way around, the part-centric, where they then create a structure first for you, and then from that structure, you then go in and build the CAD. But most of the customers, so the easy process of doing this is through CAD-centric approach, where you check in and increase this structure for you. So if you look at the image on this page, you'll see I've got the parts or the structure itself, the BOM structure, a design structure highlighted in this. And then you will see, as I said, think of this structure as, or those end items parts as the structure, because that would basically link the related information together. Basically, if you're looking at the top level one, you would see we've got an owner's manual, a specification, a requirements document, as well as a CAD file. Those are linked together and they are basically put into that top level WT part. So it allows you to do this, link that related information together in them. And then once the BOM has been created, we can also do something called the BOM. So because the guy that's on the manufacturing side doesn't build or look at the BOM same as the BOM, because the way a product is built is quite different to how it was designed. So if you're looking at the example here, we have a pen where if I am designing, I just need to make sure that all these components are in there. I can create the sub-assemblies also, that is fine, give it a bit of a structure with related components, and you can do that, but you're not really worried about how this is going to be designed, manufactured. You're just making sure that it meets the requirements, everything is there. That is the EBOM done. But if you look at the second image, this is now the MBOM, where if I'm looking on how this pen gets put together, I'll basically create the two sub-assemblies in this, the upper body of this pen and the lower body of it. And then in the lower body, I'll put in the barrel and the cartridge first, and then on the upper body, I'll then put in a cap, tip, and top. So I now have two sub-assemblies. Then I put these two sub-assemblies together, then I get the final product. That is basically the importance of the MBOM here. And again, the other thing for MBOM is when you creating an EBOM, you're not really worried about things that are involved in the manufacturing of that. So things like consumables, things like material. I mean, you can specify material on the part, but you're not gonna include it in the, or you're not gonna design that into your EBOM. But then on the MBOM side, I have that flexibility to also add things like consumables, to also add things like shipping material on that structure. So making sure that I cover everything that is involved in the building of this, so that if the supply chain gets this bill of material out, they have everything that we need to actually manufacture this particular product. And as I said, that MBOM is built directly from this EBOM, so there's a complete link to it. So if something changes on the EBOM here, it will reflect you on the MBOM to show that there's a change, and you can decide based on the change if you wanna pull it into your MBOM or not. So yeah, there is those two important structures that you can actually create. And the nice thing that I didn't mention on there is someone who is in the MBOM side can manipulate and modify that structure without worrying about the EBOM or worrying about affecting the EBOM side of it. And then the question would be, why do we need WT parts? And it's for this three reasons here. So the WT parts simply, or in most cases, represents items that are not modeled in CAD. So things like that we can't really model in CAD. Things like off-the-shelf components that you either don't have or you can't really model it. Also things like documents that are related to that, the specification, the requirements, things like shipping materials. Those you can create just as part without having a rendered CAD. And the second one is what I've just talked about, where the manufacturing guys doesn't have to worry about making modifications to the structure that this might affect the EBOM. So they can do that as they wish, or to meet the process as well. And the also important bit of this is the replacement components. So being able to capture a replacement component on the structure, and easily being able to allow someone to replace it at that same time when they need to use it. You can say, okay, we don't have this particular component in stock, but we have its replacement component. So in my structure view, I can simply capture that information, replace it in the structure, and it reflects that new component in the structure. Then there is the bill of material that can be exported out and shared with the supply chain. And then lastly, as we discussed, it also captures your as built and as maintained configuration of this product. All right, next I'm just gonna jump into the actual tool to just demo and show you how this works. This is Windchill system. I am currently on the home page of the system. So I'm going to quickly navigate to where my components are stored. So I'll go into the folder view of this. Under the CAD folder, this is where my data resides. So in this table itself, I can also go in and search for something. So I'm going to quickly search for the component that I'm looking for, which is this KDM motorbike assembly. So this is the details page of it. The details page simply captures the attribute information about this component, who's modified it, when was it modified, in which state is it currently in. I can also capture custom attributes like description, material, weight, stuff like that. I can also capture it, and that information could be coming directly from the CAD and propagated into the system. You don't necessarily have to edit manually on here. And also you'll see the thumbnail at the top here. This is something that I can interact with. If I know how the component looks, but I don't know the number of it, I can look at this thumbnail view here, and it will immediately tell me how this component looks, or if I've got the right component in here. And then in the system, you also have the non-CAD people. They use this data. They are the downstream users of this data, but they don't have CAD because they don't necessarily want to modify this file. For every Windchill license, there is a Creo View tool that you get. So with the Creo View tool, I can simply open up this in the Creo View. It's just a view application. It's asking me to just log in the system. I'm now logged in, and I'll bring it to your screen here once it opens up. So this is that model. So someone who's in the shop floor and they're not sure about something in the model, they can simply open that model in this 3D view or Creo View, and from here they can interact with the model. If they want to look at certain measurements, they can also do that. So you can simply go in and say, I just want to check what is the diameter of that disk there, and then I can simply easily get that information from there. So someone in the shop on the shop floor doesn't have to go back to the drawing creator in the design office or engineering office to ask for this additional information. They can simply go directly on the released model itself and get that information. And again, I mean, this particular tool here doesn't allow you to only open 3D models. You can also open drawings in here. I can also open PDFs, so those specification documents. I can also open those in here and interact with that to get additional information from it. So I'm going to go back and close that. So on this particular top level assembly here, if I go to related objects tab, you would see this is the information that we've linked to this bucket object. I have a document that describes this particular product. I have documents that are referenced by this, some specification documents. Any reference document you need to add, you can easily edit by pulling in an existing document in here, or on the fly creating a new document. And you'll also see that we also have the CAD information that is directly linked or related to this particular, the actual CAD assembly that's related to this particular part is also stored there. There's also alternative parts and substitute parts, those are replacement parts that you can also capture on here. So any changes that's linked to this particular part as well, they will also show under this changes tab on here. And the way also Windchill works is when you modify and check in something, it doesn't delete it or override it. It basically stores that in the history trail of your component. So I am currently on the B revision, which is my latest, but I can also see the latest release of this component. That is this A.2 here, A revision. And I can also see which promotion process was used to actually release this particular part. So if I go on that, it shows me the promotion, and it also shows me the objects that were released as part of this, and to what state it was released in as well. Right, going back on here, and also you'll see I've already have the manufacturing view of this very same showing on here, or very same part on here. I can easily access that manufacturing view of this particular part as well, directly from here. Then the other functions that are very useful is when you modifying something and you're looking at things like change impact or impact analysis of the process. I can also look at the where used. This will also list all the top level assemblies or the parent assemblies that this particular component is used in. And lastly, the manufacturing approved manufacturing and vendor list. I'll show you this in one of the parts that we have on here. So quickly go back to the structure tab of view here. So this simply shows me the latest bill of materials of the structure that is available to me. You also see I'm just gonna go in and just expand all levels on this. It shows me all that information. I can also see the states that all of this are in. And I can also simply go in and say, select everything and show me all the related information for this particular components here. So it goes and lists all that information for me. I can see all those cares that are linked on there. And also if I go to some of the components on the left here, you would see this is the off-road tire that we have, but we've also created a replacement component for it. So this is the replacement component for this particular part over here. So which means at any given time, if I need to swap, if we out of stock on this particular tire, we can easily swap it out with this one. So I'm going to show you that. And you also see as you do that, because this replacement part has got a CAD link to it. As soon as we do the switch as well, you will see it also updates on the view as well. So I'm going to go in, right click on this component, and then click on the replacement. And I'm going to say replace with an alternate or a substitute, because I've already set this up. You'll see it brings now the window with my substitute part. It tells me that, okay, this component is now going to be replaced by this particular component. I'm going to go ahead and accept that. It asks me if I want to push this back to CAD as well. I don't want to do that at this stage because we just want to update the configuration before sending it out to supply chain. So it goes in and refreshes my screen here. You'll see now the tire that we've changed at the back here is actually different in color. I've just applied a different sort of color to it so that I can show this. You'll see the two tires are actually different at this stage. And if we go back to this, you'll now see for this particular configuration, we now have a Goodyear tire set to it. And then the other things that you can do also on the structure itself is, if I want to see only the released components on here, or release configuration of this that we can use, it's approved for use in production, I can also apply a filter to do that. So I can simply go into this product structure, and I'm going to say, so the current one that we see, it is the latest design and working. So meaning everything that's released and that's in work and our latest are actually shown in this window. So we're gonna change this slightly to say we wanna see the released. I'm going to remove this in work progress because we don't want to see that. We just want to see the released information. I'm gonna apply my filter now, and I'm going to say apply this to the top level part. And if there is any component that does not have a release state to it, it's not released at all, hide those from the list. I don't wanna see those. And I'm going to go in and apply this configuration. You'll see if went in and applied that configuration. Now, if I expand on levels, you'll see everything that is on this list here. it's actually something that's been released. So I can simply go in and say, show me the related items for this particular released files. And it should go in and just capture only the released information. And at any stage, I can take this view that we have here, including the CAD and the document, and export it out to any of this format. So I'm going to export it out to the Excel format over there. And then if I open up this Excel, this is the output format that you have. So you can then go in and prepare this data so that it's acceptable and can be pulled into ERP system. So it gives you a complete list of bit of information on here, including documents and CAD. And yes, you can take this structure and push the structure into the ERP system. There's other options on exporting this data out as well. I can simply go in and using a report here. I pick the first one. By clicking the report here, I've got all these report options available to me. I can export multi-level BOM with replacement, with approved manufacturers or vendor parts in it. The only challenge of this particular report is it doesn't export the related items as well. So it doesn't export the CAD and the document, but it does export the structure exactly the way you would want it out. Yeah. And I can now simply go back and just reset my view by clicking on the system default. And yeah, then that will just update my structure here. And now we now see in the latest objects on our list here. So if I go back to the tire that I showed you just now, search for that tire in the structure here, and go to the details of it. Right. So if I now go to the approved manufacturer or vendor list here, this is where you go in and set those manufacturers. So what I've done in this case, I went in and said, this particular manufacturer we have over here, we're not using them anymore. Maybe the reason for that is it could be a delay in terms of delivering, or the material that they use is not up to scratch. But we also have a manufacturer that is a preferred manufacturer, Goodyear in this case. We also have a vendor that we can use that is also approved. So you can go in and set all of those in here. And when someone from procurement is looking at this information, they can go in and say, show me all that information as part of the structure, or export it as part of the structure. And from this information, they can also see who to use and who not to use for this. Okay, that is all I wanted to show and share for this session today. If you have any questions, there is. Right, so the first question is, how is CAD not required for BOM management? If a part is changing, will you not require forward or backward compatible information? Yeah, so there's companies that do not at all touch CAD, but because they manufacturing that information, they get drawings from the designers, and then based on that information, they'll go in and create a BOM. And then if something changes on the drawing or requires a change, they will then notify the designers, the external designers. They then modify the drawing, share that information back, and then they update the BOM based on that information. Then the next on the list here is, How are options and variants used with EBOM and MBOM? We couldn't cover those in today's session, but we have a video webinar that actually covers that. I will definitely share that video with you after this session. I'll definitely. Is the approved manufacturer is approved vendor only available when you're using WT parts? Yes, only when you're using WT parts. It is in the WT part structure. But again, just to add on that, there's a module that will require to be installed and licensed on a Windchill environment. It's called a supplier management module. That needs to be installed on a Windchill environment for that approved manufacturing and approved vendor functionality to be available and use. All right. Yeah, I see those are all the questions that have been covered. All right. And I will just carry on here on the slide side. Yeah, so if you need any additional information on these topics, I mean, feel free to reach out to our sales team to set up a demo or a workshop session to discuss this. And at the moment, we are offering visual as well as on-site training and in-center where it's actually happening in our facilities. And for all the updates on the training, you should be able to find the schedule for this on our. Then if you have any technical questions post this webinar, please feel free to email those to me, ifam.boyeng@pdsvision.com, and any sales query, sales@pdsvision.com. But again, any sales related that you think are also technical, those could also be sent to me as well. You can also visit our website, pdsvision.com, for more information and all about the product offerings that we have. And also, if you wish to also come back and rewatch this video, you can also visit our YouTube channel. It's called PDSVISION. That is where you'd find this video. It should be uploaded in 2 to 3 days time. But there's also other videos that are interesting that you can also check out in that channel. That is all I have for you today. I'll take this moment to thank you all for attending and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.